when I think about my own peers, they love great music, they love coming and hearing the orchestra, but they don't necessarily like the way in which we deliver it over the course of 2.5 hours with a 20-minute break, starting at 8 p.m.
We should not have a narrow notion of what it means to participate in the performance. That's really what it's about, because what you've just described, that magical moment where rapt, we all sit here and afterwards it's like, wow, we all just experienced that. Which doesn't happen every night, but when it does, it is unparalleled. That can't be the only thing I don't think it should be the only thing we're aspiring to, because there will be, and there are, other ways to feel like you're participating as an audience member. And honestly, if we don't give those to the audience members, I think that will be at our peril.
You have to think about what is the relevance of your music making in the people's lives in your community. And I think technology is the most fundamental part or one of the most fundamental parts that needs to be incorporated in that story.
Technology in this aspect has all this untapped potential. Some of the orchestras have, of course, experimented with this. The Detroit Symphony in our own hometown has done a lot with that, and I found that concert to be exhilarating because, and I think there was a difference in the audience. I think be able to have that visual of connecting with a musician, or in this case, lead musician, up close, I think makes a huge difference for the audiences, makes it more real, more personal, and I think more engaging.
I'll say it over and over when I'm talking about what technology can do and what we're doing, is offering additional ways in. We have a mandate to be deploying, leveraging technology to engage our audiences, take those people who are already existing audiences, whether casually or whether avid, passionate fans, and giving them new points and increased ways of accessing that content.
There's actually a controversial field in time use research, if you're interested in that. Do we have more or less leisure time? I mean, does technology enable many more outlets for participation, or is it crowding out other types of opportunities?
So one of the things that we all struggle with is that there's so many doors into the art form of the orchestral music that we're not sure which doors we should have open at the same time. Which ones will speak to which audience, which ones will, frankly, turn off which audience.
I think the music in its purest form doesn't need to be complicated or, necessarily we have to have video with music or sensory overload in order to appease people at all. I think, the purity and simplicity of what has always made it great, it will still make it great. But I think having that, we've seen in so many other forms of content, the story that's wrapped around the content itself is so interesting.
I think what we have seen in sport is that by having a ubiquity of the availability of this content, multiple touch points with it, that has corresponded with strong attendance.
Please do it. Please stream concerts on the web. They will never cannibalize the concert experience. I mean, one of the great things about the orchestra in the digital age is that because it is this acoustically unique experience, nobody ever is going to say, oh, I heard the Beethoven 9 on my tinny computer speakers, and therefore I don't need to go. That will never replace what's happening here. It really will not. I mean, even if you rig it up in a pretty sophisticated studio, I mean, acoustic sound it trumps all things when you're talking about, the human ear. So I think it's almost immaterial whether it sounds great or not. I mean, we just want to get something of the experience out there. If we can webcast it, fantastic. And if it doesn't sound great, even better. Come here and check it out.
That's one of the things we had to contend with, and I think that performing arts are certainly contending with, is this idea that offering multiple media platforms is somehow going to cannibalize rather than lift the attraction of the live. If you give exciting ways in through media, you'll want to come in the hall.
The biggest lesson that these orchestras have taken that I've talked about for a long time is YouTube and technology in general are amazing sort of sandboxes and experimental playgrounds, and I think that we're at a point now where businesses, institutions, schools, etc., can take risks with technology that they've never been in a position to be in before, and because the cost of experimentation is just negligible.
We have to be proactive. We know that we are in the midst of a mobile and a tablet explosion right now. What are we doing to be there? What are we doing now as a performing arts organization to be there, not to respond to it once it's happened? Baseball was one of the first to be in the app space, right? It was one of the first to release the MLB at Bat app, and it remains the #1 sports app. What's the equivalent of that for us? Now, again, as nonprofits, we don't have the leisure of being able to, spend down a whole bunch of dead ends or anything like that, but it doesn't excuse us from being proactive.
The institutions and companies which embrace that and can tell their own story and can be shown to be experimenting and pushing innovation forward rather than standing still are the ones who are going to survive. But it's really exciting times. I think you can either be terrified by it or you can let go a little bit and see what happens.